Hey everyone, Coach Patrick here from Endurance Station, back with another weekly broadcast. This is the time of the week where I share with you lessons that we've learned inside the team. I also wrestle with some topics that I hope will make you a stronger and smarter athlete. I'm a huge fan of the belief that we are the result of our outcomes. Our outcomes are the result of our work, of our inputs, of our process. And today I'm super excited because I get to talk a little bit about the process side of the equation. We've all been amazed by athletes out there on all manner of sports who are just achieving incredible things. Could be in the endurance side, like most of us call home. It could be a particular, like say basketball or baseball or hockey or volleyball or whatever your sport may be. And there's always incredible performances that we see out there, not just from the stars, but also from the everyday athletes, the journeyman athletes, as we call them, journey person athletes, who are grind away and are still amazing on certain occasions. And even just their daily presence and the consistency they bring to the table is in and of itself notable and remarkable. But that's not built without a process. And so when you see someone putting up great numbers in their Strava feed or putting up a great performance on race day, it's easy to celebrate them, high five them, be like, they're amazing. I'm at point 2, they're at point 10 on the journey, like they're amazing, etc. And it's easy to compare ourselves by those performances. I rode that course, the Tour de France. I rode the Tourmalet at this time, but the pros ride it in this time. That doesn't really give me any insight other than how far apart I am from them. It doesn't help me understand how I can be better. Instead, what I love to do as a coach and as a person in all aspects of my life, professionally, at work, interpersonally, in my volunteer spaces, is to just get in there and say, what are the pieces of the process that allow that to happen? How did that athlete get to a place where they were able to do that performance? What are the inputs that go into the system? Because when you start talking about inputs, then we can all start talking about the different changes that we make. So we could talk about a performance, say she had a great performance and he didn't. They're 20 minutes apart. But we can also look at the inputs. What did she put in for sleep? What did she put in for nutrition? What did she put in for training or equipment choices? We can actually compare those one-to-one with other people and say, ooh, I get an understanding that elite athletes or high-performing athletes may sleep 8 hours a day. I am only sleeping 5 hours a day. I'm not going to be able to really reach my potential. Not to say that I want to be exactly like that amazing athlete, but I probably won't be able to reach my potential until I start prioritizing the recovery mechanism that I have as much as the people who are maximizing their potential are. Again, not a conversation about do I or do I not want to be a pro athlete, but what are the elements, the process pieces that go into making someone be outstanding? And then how do we align our own personal choices and decisions around that so we can be better in that area? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Super excited. So thanks for joining me for this one. It's great. And I'll read the introduction here so we have it. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just starting out, that success in sports requires more than just raw talent. Most people assume that success requires discipline, commitment, and hard work. The truth is that a focus on the right processes is what will help you reach your full potential. This week, we'll explore the many ways in which good processes can help you achieve better athletic outcomes. From training methods to recovery strategies, we'll examine the key elements that can help you reach your goals and maximize your athletic performance. Okay? All right, let's dive in. Let's do this. Okay, one of the characteristics that defines excellent or high-performing athletes from everyday recreational athlete is consistency. The ones who are the greats, the legends who are out there, and we often celebrate them for being consistent, for their amazing streak of performances or games or whatever it may be. All of that is built around that consistency element. It's not a reward that we get. It's like the attendance award at school, right? Who didn't miss the most days? That could have maybe some negative connotations towards it, but who is showing up and doing the work, right? Who is there? And that consistency piece is real. Elite athletes, whether you like it or not, either have a lifestyle that supports them continually training. They've built it around, they have flexibility with work, or maybe they don't have work. They've built a lifestyle and they're able to coordinate around it. Not everyone else gets the opportunity to do that. So I get that there's friction. So one of the ways that we can take that observation and turn it into something for us, the everyday athlete, is coming up with what I call your minimum viable workout. What's the workout you can do when everything else doesn't work out for you? You may have an hour plan today for a training session, but life is crazy. What's your minimum viable workout? There's lots of different options. I recommend athletes have a 2-mile run, like out a mile, back a mile from your house. Most people can get that done and shower within an hour. Within 45 minutes. Another minimum viable workout for me, I have a Vasa swim ergometer in my basement. 15 minutes on the Vasa. I can go easy or hard. I can really nuke myself down there and just get all the aggression out and so on. But I can get something done and I can check the box and move to the next day. For some people, it might be a super brisk walk or hitting a step goal for the day. So I can't work out today, but I'm going to hit 15,000 steps today. I'm just going to make my day super active, or a total time standing goal versus seated goal. Whatever that spectrum may be from where you are to the steps you're taking along your progression, having defined for yourself a minimum viable workout and having everything ready for it to happen at the drop of a hat, super important. So the minute that something goes wrong with your session, instead of being like, I don't get to swim, I overslept past Masters, no workout today. No, I overslept past Masters, minimum viable workout. Oh, my kid's sick today, I'm home, I can't really do stuff today, so I can't go to the gym or whatever. No, kid's homesick, can't go to the gym, minimum viable workout. We just fill the gap of what we wanted to do with the piece of the puzzle that always fits no matter what. So define that for yourself, have it ready. That's a part of your process that you can help take one step closer to reaching your total athletic potential. Okay. Number 2, invest in success generators. No, these are not tiny machines that you plug in and throw elements of success. But what are the decisions you can make across the course of your day that optimize you for better success later? Okay. Here's an easy one: sleep. You probably would much rather sleep less so you can get up and work out more, but sleep actually is a good investment to making your workouts and your recovery better, right? Nutrition choices, right? Underfueling your workouts or underfueling your day will lead to less than optimal outcomes. So making sure that you're eating clean or eating well at least before or during your workouts, that will improve your workouts as well. So better nutrition is a success generator. Having opportunities to train with other people. We can all train alone, and sometimes that works for a lot of people, but for others, the social aspect is really important. So having a group you can train with, that's a success generator. Put that into a space where you typically have trouble. So if you do need to work out in the evening, find a group. And that way you go to the group workouts. And that will be a success generator because it's aligned with your goals of continuing your training. It's got some social benefits as well, and it turns out to be like a net positive for you, right? Other people, maybe they're tracking certain aspects of their overall health, etc. Invest in a tracker. Know what's there. Use that data to be better. So invest in the things that are actually going to give you better opportunities, better execution, better consistency, etc. over time, so you actually are taking those steps forward. Anything that eliminates that downtime or the negative aspect, right? You're super social, so you stay out late, you have some drinks, and then you don't work out the next day. Your social life is in conflict with your endurance life, which is fine. So how do we turn that social experience into a net positive for you, or make more of them net positive instead of net negative, which will then lead to better success for you athletically over time. Okay. Number 3, the principle of inversion. So let's go back the other way. Instead of saying, how do I have the best possible marathon, for example, I'll look at it from the principle of inversion and say, like, how do I not have the worst marathon? What's the worst marathon? So the worst marathon would be, I got tired at halfway because I didn't pace myself properly. Great, let's fix the pacing problem. The worst marathon would be, I got to mile 18 and threw up all my nutrition because it just wasn't working for me at that intensity. Great. Let's go back and fix that nutrition cadence that you have. The worst marathon for me would be not warming up properly, like having like just a terrible first couple miles, like just not feeling settled in, ready to go, etc. Great. Let's get operationally efficient and make sure that you have that time to do that warm up earlier. So rather than just saying what's the best thing, let's find all the problems with it from an inversion perspective and then solve all those problems. If we solve for all the problems around a bad marathon, you've optimized yourself for a better marathon. This is a great tool to use in any aspect. Like instead of saying, how do I give a great public presentation? Just say like, how do I not give a terrible presentation? My slides don't work. Fix the slides. I say too much. How do I get rid of that? What's another version of it? I'm rereading myself. I read off of the slides. So how do I solve that I don't read off the slides? Don't look at the slides. Have a picture for each slide. This is a great hack for you out there. Have a picture for each slide. You have the topic of the slide on your laptop here, and you have a picture. So you comes up and says, like, let's say you're talking about, I have no idea, let's say shopping, right? You're like, okay, how do we purchase the right equipment for this division and so on, like some sort of operational piece. You can have a whole set of slides up here. You've written it, you know what it is, etc. You know what they are. So I would have the title there and I'd have 5 points. And then I have a picture in there that kind of is the anchor for me about what I'm going to say. That allows me to talk about that picture. I'm going ahead and having this other piece happening here behind me with the actual bullets, but I'm not just turning around and reading off the slide. People in my audience, they don't need accessibility options that I'm providing them by reading the slide to them. They've got the slide. They can see it. They can do it on their own device, etc. So actually, instead of getting yourself into a problem, but actually solve that from another area. Okay. All right. Number 4, identifying the friction points in life and removing them. So one of the things that these pro athletes have done generally is they've gotten rid of all the friction. Most of them probably don't have kids, and so they don't have the family stress. Not that families aren't awesome, love my family. I actually got faster having a family and kids, but it forced me to optimize in my time. But in a lot of the pro athletes' standpoints, they're not just faster or stronger because they're younger. They just also don't have anything else in their day other than being faster and stronger. And so that's another way to think about it, which is what's the friction you have inside your life that is manageable for you? And this is fantastic. So go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to food shopping, huge time suck for me. So I'm happy to spend $50 extra to get my groceries delivered so that I don't have to go to the store and deal with all that madness. It gives me back 2 hours in my life that I wouldn't otherwise have. Yard work is another one for me that I like to optimize for. Having a cleaner come once a month for us is actually a big win. It reduces our need to clean here overall a great deal. Having an assistant who helps me process things and organize things has been super valuable for me as well to understand that. So making sure that you identify those pain points, the things that are holding you back, how can you optimize for them to make things better? Equipment is another one. I love to swim, getting to the pool. The only time I can swim is at certain times of day. I got to juggle the classes. I got to juggle the lane lines. I got to juggle the creepy lifeguards and the weather and my motivation. But I can also invest in a swim bench that lives in my garage. And the only motivation I have to do is to get from here to the garage. It's about 10 feet away. No excuses. No one else is using it. I can get my workout done. Is it as perfect as swimming? No. But it doesn't have to be perfect if it's accessible and I've removed all the friction from it. It has to be good enough. And that's a good enough solution for me to get better at it. So take a look at those friction points. Not just how do we want to live like a pro athlete, but what are the pieces of our life that we can free up time and reduce friction by outsourcing things, changing our process around it, or just really rethinking about how it works so we're better off. A great example from a life perspective was for our family. On the weekends, we'd want our kids to pick up and do chores. And what we would do typically is see they come downstairs and we'd be like, hey, I'm going to go for a run for an hour. Okay, everybody, I need you to empty the sink. Great. And they'd empty the sink and then I'd be like, do the dishwasher. And they do the dishwasher and then I'd be like, clean up your room, etc. And what we found over time was that every time they did a task, they were rewarded with another task. And they didn't know when the task would end or what the next task would be. And that was really frustrating to them and not very empowering. So what we did instead, which actually worked out better for us in terms of friction, was we would just, when we came down before they woke up, we wrote a list. Here's 5 or 6 things that we would like to have you do today. They have to be done by a certain time. You choose how you do them. You choose the order. And here you go. When they do that list, they're all set. Or they get close to the end of that list, they're all set. I haven't had to manage them and actually put them in a position of strength. So I reduced the friction of having to manage that process. I let my kids do it in their own way, on their own time. They could budget their mornings and their time. As long as they were done by the time we wanted to be done, everybody was happier. That was an easy solution for a problem, but I just was approaching it the wrong way. So get rid of that friction by being smarter about those decisions. And then last but not least, maintain your optimized self list, which means basically, what are the things that work for you? So if you know that a nap during the day makes you stronger, put that into your list. That healthy breakfast makes you stronger, put that into your list, right? Sleep makes you stronger, put that into your list. Maintain a list of things that are positive inputs for you or positive processes for you that yield the better outcomes that you want, and start factoring those things in. So reading may be a net positive for you. I don't mean doom scrolling Twitter, but actually like reading things. If you want to read a book, read one of the classics, read it. Just if you're into fiction like I am as well, how do you have to have time to actually read during your day? Work will expand to the amount of space you give it to exist. How do we make sure that we budget time for actual reading? And actually getting really strict about that and doing a better job of forcing the inputs that make us better will fill your day with more better things, which just forces out the things that are less than better and will get you there. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this talk. It's a little bit different than the normal, but it is a space that I'm super fascinated in, and I'll probably be exploring more publicly with some writing and other topics coming soon. But I do believe that athletes, entrepreneurs, business owners, worker bees, everybody can do better by optimizing parts of their day and making sure that they're doing the right thing by putting the good inputs in, and they'll see better progress. It's not always about working harder or working smarter. Sometimes it's just setting yourself up for success by removing friction or making better decisions. All right, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you soon.